Hey everyone! Breaking news that could change everything for millions of Americans relying on Social Security benefits. Have you heard about the massive potential increase that could bring monthly checks up to $3,780 for SSI, SSDI, and VA recipients starting as early as May 15th? While Washington debates and the speaker vote approaches, your financial future hangs in the balance. If you're concerned about your benefits or know someone who depends on these crucial payments, you absolutely need to stay informed with the latest updates. Hit that subscribe button right now and enable notifications so you don't miss any breaking developments that could impact your monthly income. Your financial security is too important to be left in the dark. The speaker vote is rapidly approaching, and with it comes unprecedented implications for Social Security beneficiaries nationwide. As lawmakers gather to cast their votes, a dramatic proposal has emerged that could revolutionize the financial landscape for millions of Americans who depend on SSI, SSDI, and VA benefits. This proposal, which has been gaining significant traction in recent days, could potentially increase monthly payments to $3,780 starting as early as May 15th. But what exactly does this mean for you and your loved ones who rely on these essential benefits? And how close are we to seeing this proposal become reality? The timing of this potential increase couldn't be more critical, with inflation continuing to erode purchasing power and everyday essentials becoming increasingly expensive. Many beneficiaries have found themselves struggling to make ends meet. The current benefit amounts simply haven't kept pace with the real cost of living, leaving millions of vulnerable Americans facing difficult choices between paying for medications, food, or housing. Have you found yourself having to make these impossible decisions lately? You're certainly not alone, as countless beneficiaries have voiced similar concerns across the nation. This proposed increase represents a significant shift in how our government approaches support for disabled veterans, seniors, and disabled citizens. The $3,780 monthly payment would amount to an annual benefit of over $45,000, a substantial improvement that acknowledges the true financial needs of beneficiaries in today's economy. But where exactly would this money come from? According to sources close to the negotiations, the funding would be secured through a combination of closing certain tax loopholes and reallocating existing budget resources, ensuring the program remains financially sustainable for generations to come. As the speaker vote approaches, the political dynamics surrounding this proposal have become increasingly complex. Both sides of the aisle recognize the urgent need to address the inadequacies of current benefit levels, but differences remain regarding implementation timelines and funding mechanisms. The vote, expected to occur within days, may ultimately determine whether millions of Americans see this historic increase materialize by the proposed May 15th start date. How closely have you been following these political developments? The outcome could significantly impact your financial future. For SSDI recipients specifically, this potential increase addresses a long-standing issue with the current benefit structure. The existing calculation methods often fail to account for the true economic impact of disability, including hidden costs like specialized equipment, accessibility modifications, and ongoing medical expenses not covered by insurance. The proposed $3,780 monthly payment would help bridge this gap, providing beneficiaries with the financial resources needed to maintain dignity and independence despite their limitations. Isn't it about time that our benefit systems reflected the true cost of living with a disability? Veterans receiving VA benefits would also see substantial improvements under this proposal. Our nation's heroes have made tremendous sacrifices in service to our country, yet many struggle financially upon returning to civilian life, especially those dealing with service-connected disabilities. The proposed increase acknowledges this debt we owe to our veterans and takes concrete steps toward ensuring they receive the support they've earned. For many veteran families, this could mean the difference between financial stress and stability. SSI recipients, who are often among the most economically vulnerable Americans, would perhaps benefit most significantly from this potential increase. The current SSI payment structure, which has long been criticized for its inadequate support levels, would be completely transformed under the new proposal. Recipients who currently receive far below the poverty line would suddenly have access to resources that could lift them above it, a truly life-changing development for individuals who have often been marginalized and overlooked by our economic systems. Can you imagine the difference this would make for elderly and disabled individuals who have been struggling to survive on minimal assistance? Advocacy groups have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to push this proposal forward, organizing grassroots campaigns and putting pressure on key lawmakers ahead of the speaker vote. Their efforts appear to be paying off, with growing bipartisan support for addressing the obvious inadequacies in current benefit levels. These organizations emphasize that this isn't merely about increasing a number, it's about restoring dignity, independence, and basic financial security to millions of Americans who have been living on the economic margins despite the promises made by our social safety net programs. The proposed May 15 implementation date has raised questions about the logistics of such a significant change. How quickly could the Social Security Administration and VA process these increases? According to administrative officials who have been preparing for this possibility, systems have already been updated in anticipation of potential changes, allowing for a relatively smooth transition if the proposal passes. Beneficiaries would likely see the increased amounts reflected in their May payments without needing to take any additional action. The adjustments would occur automatically for those already in the system. Critics of the proposal have raised concerns about its long-term fiscal impact, questioning whether such generous benefits are sustainable. However, proponents point to economic analyses showing that much of this money would flow directly back into local economies, creating a positive multiplier effect as beneficiaries spend these funds on necessary goods and services. Wouldn't increased consumer spending ultimately strengthen our economy from the ground up? This perspective has helped build broader support for the measure, even among those typically concerned about government spending. The potential impact on beneficiaries' lives cannot be overstated. For many, an increase to $3,780 monthly would mean no longer having to choose between medications and meals. It would mean the ability to afford safe, accessible housing. It would mean reduced stress and improved health outcomes as financial pressures ease. It could mean the difference between isolation and community participation as transportation and social activities become more affordable. What aspects of your life would improve most significantly if this increase becomes reality? As the speaker vote approaches, it's worth noting that this proposal represents more than just a policy change. It reflects a shifting attitude toward how we value our disabled citizens, seniors, and veterans. Rather than viewing benefits as minimal subsistence payments, this approach acknowledges the full humanity and dignity of recipients by providing resources that allow for meaningful participation in society. The $3,780 monthly amount was calculated based on actual living costs and needs, rather than arbitrary budget constraints that have too often dictated benefit levels in the past. Family members and caregivers of beneficiaries would also see relief under this proposal. Many have been stretching their own resources thin to supplement inadequate benefits received by their loved ones. With more generous monthly payments, this additional financial burden would be eased, allowing family support systems to function more sustainably. Has your family been affected by the current limitations of these benefit programs? The ripple effects of this potential increase could strengthen entire support networks, not just individual recipients. The upcoming speaker vote represents a critical juncture for this proposal, with procedural rules requiring new leadership to address pending legislation within specific timeframes. This parliamentary requirement has created an unusual opportunity for benefit reform, as candidates for T.